If I show you, you probably will not believe it, but I raised a new pet, a tarantula. He was my closest friend until he started acting like a real predator, like a true spider. And I also betrayed my close friend. Let's start from the very beginning. Everything started when I found this strange cocoon made of thick spider web.
What did I find?
I had no idea who was inside. When the cocoon broke, a tiny, fluffy, dark tarantula crawled out. My new pet, the little one, needed a lot of warmth. A simple lamp became his best friend during the first days. Food was not a problem. He happily jumped on live crickets, showing his predator instincts. The most interesting thing was watching how skillfully he wrapped his prey in thick web. When he grew a little, I decided to hold him in my hands. He was surprisingly light and a little ticklish. To make him comfortable, I built a big terrarium for him. Inside, I made shelters from tree bark and added moss for humidity. Tarantulas love that. One morning, I almost had a heart attack because I thought he died. But it was only his old skin. The molting process worked like magic. He came out of his shelter twice as big as before. Crickets were not enough for him anymore, so I decided to try giving him raw meat. He liked it. He had so much energy. We played for hours with a laser pointer, and he chased the light all around the room. A few months passed. My spider grew to the size of a big cat, and the terrarium became too small for him. Finding him in the morning became a real quest. Most of the time, he slept on the ceiling in the living room. The real problem was the web. During the night, he covered half of my furniture with it. Neighbors and delivery couriers stopped visiting me. It was hard to blame them when they saw such a guard on my wall.
Come back!
I understood that the city was not the right place for him. I had to make a very difficult decision. I put him in the car and drove him to a huge wildlife reserve. The territory of the reserve was enormous. I hoped he would feel better there. But it seemed like he understood everything. He refused to leave the car.
Go. No.
I had to lure him out with a piece of raw meat. At that moment, I felt like a traitor. Leaving him there was the hardest thing I had ever done. I drove away with a heavy heart. At first, he was very sad and stayed in his shelter between the rocks, but the peace did not last long. Local hyenas quickly noticed the newcomer. They walked around him, trying to scare my pet with their teeth, but they did not know who they were dealing with. One accurate shot of web, and the leader of the hyenas was stuck to the ground. The rest of the pack ran away in fear. After that, nobody dared to come close to him again. When he realized his power, he decided he did not want to stay in a cage anymore. A fence is not a problem for a spider. When I heard about his escape, I went searching for him in the deep forest. Soon, I found huge spider webs stretched between the trees. He was somewhere nearby. Unfortunately, local hunters also found his trail. They wanted to capture the monster, but the hunters did not understand one thing. In this forest, they were no longer the predators. He attacked from above. He did not kill them. Instead, he wrapped them tightly in web and hung them on tree branches as a lesson. After this conflict with humans, he went high into the mountains and hid in a deep, dark cave. In the same cave lived a pack of wild wolves. The conflict was inevitable. The leader of the wolves attacked, but my spider pushed him away with one leg. Realizing the strength was not equal, the wolves accepted him as their new 8-legged leader. Time passed. My pet grew to truly terrifying, monstrous size. Local people became alarmed, and the government had to send the army. The military surrounded the entire forest. They were preparing for a large assault. Even helicopters could not help. He simply knocked them down with his webs in the air. When the soldiers realized bullets were useless, they used a special sleeping gas. Because of the sudden temperature change and the chemicals, my pet fell asleep. The soldiers were able to tie him up. They took him to the famous secret base in the desert, Area 51. There, they placed him inside a giant glass cube underground. They started doing experiments on him. Thousands of people came to the desert. This was my only chance to save him. Total chaos began. The crowd broke through the security line, and I managed to sneak inside the base. I ran through endless concrete corridors, looking for the lower level. Finally, I found him. He was exhausted, but when he saw me, he immediately pressed himself against the glass. I broke the control panel and pressed the emergency door button. When he escaped, he started destroying the military laboratory. We had to run. We escaped through an elevator shaft. He climbed the vertical wall with incredible speed. When we reached the surface, he made a loud hiss. The soldiers were in shock. A chase across the desert began, but it was impossible to catch a giant tarantula. After escaping the pursuit, he moved straight toward the nearest megacity. The police quickly identified me. They arrested me right in the middle of the street. A month later, the trial began. I was facing life in prison with no chance of release. The judge raised the hammer to announce the sentence, but suddenly the building started to shake. A huge shadow covered the sun. Outside, the windows appeared giant hairy legs. The wall collapsed. My pet came to save me. He carefully picked me up and placed me on his back. He jumped out of the window and swung on a web to the next rooftop. We left the city behind and went to the far wild mountains where no one could find us. Finally, we found the perfect place, a hidden valley that people do not know about. He built an amazing giant web between the rocks and turned the valley into his castle. I understood one simple thing: appearances can be deceptive. If you also want to have a pet like this, be patient and don't forget the web.